The argument over who's right, Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, as far as their approach. One, Martin Luther King has a day named after him because he was doing the white man's agenda, and a radical faction of the white power structure took him out. Two, Malcolm X addressed the problem at its source. The white power structure on the top level. That's what my tribe did during the Nigerian Civil War. Now, if we had listened to Martin Luther King and took a peaceful route, nonviolent resistance, which allows the people in charge to maintain their old money and to stay in charge. I don't think Martin Luther King ever even used the term old money because he wasn't addressing these people. He was compromising with them. Okay? If we would have did it Martin Luther King's way, we wouldn't have got anywhere at all. Matter of fact, Malcolm X wouldn't have rested in peace if that's what we would have did. Marcus Garvey, who was betrayed by a slut of a bitch, wouldn't rest in peace if that's what we would have did. Of course, Malcolm X was right. Of course, Islam is right. And even as he gives his speech, there he is pointing up. Because God is greatest. And these bootlickers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Go ahead and celebrate with a bunch of white people who are glad the black man isn't smart enough to realize what he has to do. And celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Go ahead. Amid the rumors that he was a pedophile. But it's okay if it's true. If it is true, it's okay. Why? Because the elite is a bunch of pedophiles. So they say, hey, they still celebrate Martin Luther King even though we've portrayed him as a pedophile. So maybe they'll still celebrate our old money because we're rich and they look up to us rich people. Pathetic. Pathetic. You know what you should do. You know they're a bunch of fucking devils. And you know that you need to address the devils. This is yet another controversial subject that I will address in a superior fashion that they will not be able to disprove or even come close to my argument. They'll say stupid things. It doesn't matter if they have tanks and nuclear bombs when they can't predict when you're going to come kick down the fucking door. They can't predict that. JFK was assassinated. And it might have been by Lee Harvey Oswald. And even if it wasn't, it was a small group of people that took out the President of the United States with all of his Secret Service and police escort. Does that mean we could kill any fucking Rothschild, Rockefeller, any rich, pompous piece of shit that's part of the white power structure? Of course it does. Matter of fact, we could collaborate. We could do it the way the Nigerians did during the Nigerian Civil War, the way the Igbos and the Yorubas did. Simultaneous assassinations. Boom, 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 boom. All at the same time. Bow! Within 5 minutes. Wipe them off the face of the earth. Simultaneous strikes. Coordinated. And I'll tell you, to anyone who would betray us while we're plotting this, behead them and their families. Stone their babies to death. Why, you might ask? Because they need to be made the worst of examples. They need to be made a horrible, horrible example. So that people know you do not fuck with the black movement for independence. Now, the white man didn't want to arm my people. They wanted to arm the Al-Qaeda against Gaddafi. They wanted to arm Al-Qaeda and ISIS against Assad, but they did not want to arm the Igbos, even though we were Christians, against the Muslims, who were part of the corrupt government. And I say to you now, if you look at the reasons, they said because they didn't want to set a precedent for African independence, because it would come back and bite them in the ass because they are the white oppressor who's oppressing most people, no matter how you look at it, especially in Africa. And I'm telling you right now, because you were so afraid of that then, I'm setting that precedent for black independence right now. Strike your enemy, black man. Don't let the millions of people who died in the Nigerian Civil War trying to bring change to corrupt puppet dictators of the white power structure, don't let them die in vain. And truly ask yourself, the way these bootlicking motherfuckers have the world going, the way things are going now, is Malcolm X resting in peace? Is the man that they hated so much that they didn't make a day after him, is he resting in peace? Is the man whose sacrifice was mocked and was not celebrated by these devils, is he resting in peace? Ask yourself, black man, are we bringing about the end of white world supremacy? Or are we propagating it? Or are we allowing the Boule Society and bootlicking Prince Hall Freemasons to propagate white racist ideas and despicable falsehoods? Are we to let a bunch of Uncle Toms determine the fate of the black race? And spit and urinate and defecate on Malcolm X's grave? Or are we to honor the greatest black revolutionary in American history and do the right thing, what he advocated? Not what the compromising bootlicking Uncle Toms advocated. Not what Martin Luther King, who every time he got in trouble, let's barricade ourselves inside the church. Let's call some white politician. Yeah, I'm going to make a deal with you, Mr. White Politician. You know, I'm going to make a deal with you. Just call off your dogs. Okay, as long as you know you're our fucking house, nigga, I'll call off the dogs. Hey, Ethro, yeah, tell your boys that, you know, they're no longer needed outside the church. Yep, call them up, call them off. Okay, fellas, you know, that's enough, Leonard. That's enough, Billy Bob. It's time to go home. Aw, shucks, we were just having fun, terrorizing the spooks, calling them the terrorists. Do we really gotta go home? Yeah, you gotta go home. We have a bigger plan and we trust the white power structure. Okay. As opposed to Malcolm X.